Welcome back, friends, to another YouTube lesson here with Ulrich and TGT. So today is a special one. A lot of people have been asking me about blues playing, and obviously blues is one of the foundations for any improviser. And more than that, blues is a language of the soul. That's the way I think about it. Like, we can talk about all the theory and all the techniques to learn a guitar, but at the end of the day, we want to play something that connects with the listener and that has something soulful, right? At least that's what I'm after. So I want to discuss today a few of the tactics that I have in my Total Guitar Transformation book regarding blues playing. And I'm just gonna present you with my layered approach. You know, I like to think in layers when in terms of improvisation. So I want to show you the best blues layers to work on to make your blues playing multi-dimensional. Never repeat yourself, never get bored, never run out of ideas. Does that sound good? So if you stick around until the end, you should be able to practice these different layers. And it's going to be a little bit surprising for you maybe, because it's not mainly going to be about learning licks, but it's going to be a lot about harmony. Are you ready to get started? Awesome. Let's get rocking with layer number one. Layer number one, the guide tones. For any well-versed players, we need to know about chords. And we're going to start with the most minimal chord that we can play. And I'm not talking about... That's not what we're after here today. Instead, we want to play the minimal shell voicings that outline the dominant 7 chords used in the blues. If you know a little bit about the blues form, and I'm here in the key of B flat, then they're all built out of dominant 7 chords. So we got this chord here, you might be familiar with. This is a B flat 7. This is an E flat 7, then back to the B flat 7, and we got again 4 chord E flat 7, back to the B flat 7, then F7, E flat 7, and back to the B flat 7, and maybe a turnaround, right? So you're probably familiar with this blues form, this 12-bar blues form. You really need to have that memorized in your sleep. Huh? If you noticed, I didn't play any of these chords in my improvisation. Instead, I reduced the chords to the essential notes, the 7th and the 3rd. These 2 notes already render the full dominant 7 chord. We don't need anything else. And surprisingly enough, these little chords have a big sound. So what we're going to do now is just play the form and just use a very common pattern that, you know, goes like this. This is a very typical rhythm where we just syncopate. It's kind of like a horn figure in a way. Dun, gung, gung, dun. So we're going to play this one, and I'm just going to move around the guide tones on the 3 chords. Are you ready? Let's do it. You can do some rhythmical games with it too, and do little... Alright, so you might have noticed that I already just played this chord, yeah? So now that we figure out the guide tones, we can stack some additional notes on top, yeah? My favorite notes to stack is just a regular dominant 7 chord. And then I also like to add the 13. That sounds like this. Do you hear that sound? It sounds a little more jazzy, right? So So that's awesome. Or just depending on the context of the blues, yeah? Then on the 4 chord, we're gonna play this voicing here. You might be familiar with this voicing already. So we have those guide tones here, then we add a 9, and then the 5th. So, got this chord here, huh? See how awesome the voice leading is here? It really works, yeah? Then for the 5 chord, and we got this one, yeah? So when you use those 2 layers, I don't want you to think of like, okay, today I'm gonna use layer number 2. It's not like that. But instead, you're gonna be at the blues jam, you know? You're gonna start out with the guide tones. The solo is starting, you're just kind of listening, yeah? And then you just, when you wanna kick it up a notch, you're gonna just add in more notes and play these bigger voicings that I also call horn section voicings, yeah? So let's go and try this. And I'm also gonna try to build up more momentum by going on a higher register. So let's see what that sounds like. Do you see how that works? So that's really not just some basic beginner stuff. So that's the stuff that the pros use to play the blues. Yeah. What I did here is I did little embellishments. You know, I didn't just play the stiff chord, but I added simple melodies on top. So as you see how that use that melody here on that E flat 13, and then I can slide into the chord chromatically. That's another great tip, yeah. I could do this, yeah. The more I do these kind of things, the more jazzy your comping gets. So it's really a matter of taste and a matter of context of what you want to achieve. All right, so let me say something important. So these chords, they're great for playing behind the soloist to support the solo. But that doesn't mean that you can't use them in your solo. I strongly encourage you to start using chords in your lead improvisation. In my opinion, there's nothing more one-dimensional and boring to just play single note lines all the time. To just be like, I mean, that's great and everything, but you know, at some point you want to bring in some harmony and play some chords. If you listen to most of the great players, they all use chords in their solos. It could be do something like this, or you know, you name it. There's many ways to do it. All right, so we're gonna move to layer number 3, and this is a crucial one. So now we're ready to play some little licks and melodies in between the chords, and you will see how much depth and expression you will get, even if you just use the one and same lick and throw in the chords in between. Let me show you this. So that was an extreme example where I really just played one lick and threw in the chords, but you saw like suddenly those licks sounded different each time I played the chord, or each harmony sounded different. So you want to play around with this, and you can also of course play this very same lick. You also can play here, and then start expanding it a little bit. I'm just gonna show you a few variations of this lick that you can use. So you see the variations are almost endless, and you have the advantage now that you're not just playing single note licks, or you're not just playing, even worse, just the pentatonic scale, you know. You're not playing any scales. You're playing little melodies and chords. So you're playing real music, yeah? It's very important to realize that the musical elements that you want to use, they should be musically finished. They should have good phrasing, they should have some slides, they should have good musical placement, they should have good bends, maybe vibrato. So, you know, it needs to be the full package. You want to really like phrase things and present them like a singer, yeah? You don't want to just play notes, yeah? You don't want to be... If you currently sound like this, then you got some ways to go, and this approach is gonna help you to get there, but just focusing on a few simple phrases. Does that make sense? Notice that I wasn't talking at all about outlining the chords or anything. We're not gonna go there today, yeah? I just want you to go to this simple lick, and I want you to know that when you play the 1 chord, you want to bend a little further in the direction of the major third. You don't have to hit it exactly, but you bend up just a little bit, yeah? And then on the 4 chord, I want you to bend to the what is the minor third in the key. You see how good that sounds? That's really awesome, huh? So you're already outlining the chords with just your phrasing. Yeah? It's really effective. For the advanced guitarists watching this, I want to mention that I'm using here on purpose not the flat 7th in the pentatonic, but I'm using the 6th. The reason I'm doing this is that it sounds a little more melodic to me, and it gets us out of this minor pentatonic scale sound that you can get tired of really quickly. Other guitarists that use the 6th a lot in the pentatonic are B.B. King, Robben Ford. He uses it a lot in the minor sense, yeah. So he uses like. He uses that even over a 1 chord, yeah. So that's a really effective way to get a little more tension in your blues, but also be very melodic. Just a little side note for you. All right, and last but not least, I want you to start thinking now about building the form and building momentum. So one element that we need for sure for this is turnarounds. We need to be able to wrap up one form like a chapter in a book and go to the next. We're not going to do this all the time, but in the crucial moments, this is going to come in very handy. This is a great way to wrap up a solo. This is a great way to even wrap up the full song. And it's also a great way to structure your solo. Yeah? So I want to show you just my few favorite. So I just want to show you a few of my favorite turnarounds and see if you can use them. I'm going to just use a metronome here and slow things really down so you can really see what's going on here. We are just going to play the last 2 bars of this blues in B flat. Yeah? So it's just coming in on the 10th bar basically in the blues. Make sense? Let's do it. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a really awesome one, yeah? One more rhythmical variation of this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Awesome. So we can also use the 6th. So then it sounds something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Can play something like this, yeah? Of course, we can also do a rhythmical variation here. So I can play 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's just so many ways and variations to play turnarounds. But I think if you just get started with those two and really integrate them into your playing, then you already make some big progress. Yeah? It's actually not that easy to be able to just throw in that turnaround like a punch, like a reflex. Yeah? So that's the level you want to study this at. Let me demonstrate now and just improvise. Let's see what that sounds like. Awesome. So slowly we start cooking here. This is like a core structure that you can use basically that will just help you to give more clarity to your solo and more dimension. Of course, you absolutely can and should throw in your favorite blues licks that you already know. Yeah, chances are you already know some licks and cool phrases, maybe from other blues guitarists. Now it's time to customize this and add in your vocabulary into this 5-layer framework, so to say. Yeah? And you're gonna see that just adding the chords alone is gonna add a whole new dimension to your playing. You're gonna sound more advanced and more sophisticated, and you also have more control as a soloist, where you can basically tell the other musicians where you are in the blues form. If you enjoyed today's lesson and you enjoying my teaching style, then I want to encourage you to get the TGT book from Amazon. It has a lot of great practice strategies in there. They're pretty hands-on, so I'm just going to tell you what to do basically. The book comes with a bunch of extras that you can download that will show you how my students of the Total Guitar Transformation Academy work with me. Those are exactly the same tactics that we use. So yeah, get the book and start studying. Awesome, my friends. So that's pretty much it. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and then just grab the backing track, start working on these layers, and I cannot wait to hear from you what these concepts are going to do for you.